Welcome to Warpstorm Weekly, your one-stop spot for all things Warhammer 40k. I'm Aaron, and each week we'll dive into the latest and greatest in the grimdark universe, from the frequent rules updates to new releases, lore, and more. So grab your paints and your dice, and let's get into it. This week, we've seen some potential rules leaks for the Emperor's Children. These leaks appeared just as text shared on a Discord channel, and also posted to an Emperor's Children rumor forum over on Bolter and Chainsword. As always, take this information with a grain of salt until it's officially confirmed, but let's dive straight in and let's check out Fulgrim. He has a movement characteristic of 16 inches, a 2+ save and a 4+ invulnerable save. With 16 wounds and an objective control of 6, he's a solid force on the battlefield. When it comes to attacks, he has two profiles, strike and sweep. For the strike profile, he makes 6 attacks with strength 14, -3 AP and d6 +1 damage, along with sustained hits 1. The sweep profile gives him 12 attacks at strength 8, -2 AP and 2 damage, also with sustained hits 1. Additionally, he gets 6 extra attacks at strength 6, -1 AP and 1 damage. He also has a poison theme ability that deals D3 mortal wounds on a roll of 4+. Like the other demon primarchs, he has an extra ability to choose each turn. This could be the fight's first keyword, a -1 modifier to be hit, or an aura that forces enemy units to pass a leadership test in order to fall back. This gives him a great deal of flexibility, allowing you to adapt his abilities to different situations on the battlefield. For the Noise Marines, the Blastmaster will now have a range of 18 inches, which is a bit of a downgrade from its previous 48-inch range. However, this could mean that it will hit harder, so hopefully the reduced range is balanced by some increased firepower. Moving on to Lucius, he has the lone operative keyword and the fight's first ability. He can lead a unit of flawless blades, but doing so will cause him to lose the fight's first ability. Hopefully the trade-off will be worth it for the benefit he brings to the unit, but he might be better suited as a powerhouse working independently to wreak havoc. As for the flawless blades, they'll have a movement characteristic of 8 inches, 3 attacks each, and the ability to score critical wounds on a 3+, but they will not have the devastating wounds ability. Terminators will be capped at 5-man units, but they are expected to pack an extra punch, making them a solid option despite the size limit. Now, let's talk about the 3 detachments. The first allows Emperor's Children to receive dark packs when they charge. This gives the unit's weapons the choice of either gaining lethal hits or sustain hits 1 until the end of the phase. However, resolving the unit's attacks, they must take a leadership test, and if they fail, the unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. It's a high-risk, high-reward mechanic that can be very effective in the right situations. The second detachment allows your rhinos to be placed back into reserves, which could be great for delivering elite infantry quickly onto objectives, clearing out any of the threats, then hopping back in the rhino and then retreating into reserves. This offers a lot of flexibility and could be a powerful tool for tactical maneuvering. The last detachment allows you to bring Slaanesh demons into your army, up to a maximum of 1,000 points. This is a fun and thematic way to field an army, and I think it's going to be really cool to see some Keepers of Secrets fighting alongside Fulgrim on the battlefield. For the army rule, all Emperor's Children are able to declare a charge in a turn at which they advanced, as long as they all declare a separate unit for the charge. This is really cool because advance and charging I absolutely love. Like, I do play White Scars, and that is one of my favorite mechanics, and just gives total flexibility and getting around the board, so it should be fun. As for what seems to be missing from the book, there are no mentions of predators, vindicators, forge fiends, hellbrutes, or cultists, which might raise some questions for players who are hoping to include these units into their list. But as I mentioned earlier, take this all with a grain of salt. It's just speculation. While the information looks pretty solid, there's a couple things that raises a few red flags. The first one is that Flawless Blades seem to only have 3 attacks, even though they appear to have at least 2 weapon options, the dual swords or the 2-handed weapon. That doesn't quite add up. Then there's the curious case of the units that are supposedly not in the codex, like the Forge Fiends. It's amusing because we actually see Mauler Fiends in the Emperor's Children army showcase, so I don't really know what's going on there. And another oddity is that they've got rhinos but no predators. Like, even the World Eaters have predators. And the most baffling, I think, is that there's no hellbrutes. Like, seriously, what Marine faction doesn't have any dreadnoughts? I just find it hard to believe that Games Workshop won't be giving them any dreadnoughts. Before we move on from the Emperor's Children, there is also going to be a limited edition codex. Each of these malefic artifacts is presented in an elaborate slipcase with a special rip-apart design. Within, you'll find a numbered copy of the codex with unique art plus additional dark gifts. These include 6 accursed metal objective markers and 5 art cards featuring gruesome art that delves into the very stuff of chaos. You also get a set of data cards and a set of stratagem cards to aid you on your dark path, and a hardback folder to keep it all safe. Though this isn't all, each tomb comes with 1/4 of a metallic chaos medallion, dedicated to its patron god, meaning that when the other 3 deities' codexes come out, they will also have this medallion. So if you are a big fan of chaos, this might be a collector's item worth getting. For me, it's not a top priority. I would much rather spend my money on the models. I actually used to love the codexes, but these days I get them for the code to access the rules. Eventually I do get around to reading the lore, and of course I can't resist to admiring the stunning miniatures and paint job the Evermetal team works their magic on. As well, they really take me back to, I think it was grade 6 when everyone would bring in their hobby books and would all huddle around gawking at all the models, reading obscure bits of lore and debating which models we were going to get next. Those were the days. Because YouTube and the internet wasn't really a thing yet, and the only hobby info you could get was from either other people at your local gaming store or from reading things like the Rulebook or White Dwarf magazine. Nowadays you can just get all the information you need online and not go through all the trials and missteps we went through and wondering why all your miniatures looked like chewed up bubblegum after you've spent hours painting them. In Horus Heresy news, we've got a brand new Angron model. Angron Transfigured represents the Primarch in the final moments of the Horus Heresy. And let me tell you, this model is absolutely stunning. Games Workshop has really knocked it out of the park with this one. Infused with demonic strength and unrelenting rage, it strikes the perfect balance between his original model and his full Demon Primarch form from Warhammer 40k. While his Demon Primarch model showcases the full beastly nature of Angron after 10,000 years of warp-inflicted carnage, this transfigured version captures the brutal power of the beast while still remaining some semblance of humanity. Not that Primarchs were even that human, and Angron certainly lost any shred of humanity after the butcher's nails were forced into him and the Emperor allowed his comrades to die on his homeworld, but still you get the idea. Now, unfortunately, this model is made of resin, but that material really lets the details of the sculpt shine. Though, however, I wouldn't envy anyone that has to transport these models. Those wings look like they could snap at even the slightest touch. That being said, they look absolutely fantastic. Whoever painted this angry lad did an amazing job. Angron's twisted armor of Mars is beautifully depicted beaten and battered like a gladiator's armor, yet still shining with like incredible power. It wouldn't surprise me at all if some players started using this as a proxy in 40k, or even just kit bashed it into like a beautifully stunning demon prince that any World Eaters fans would like truly envy. Shifting away from the tabletop, Space Marine 2 has dropped some major updates with the 6.0 Datavault update, bringing a ton of quality of life improvements and exciting new features. First up, the Datavault. The Datavault is a brand new area on the battle barge. Players can complete ordeals across the campaign, operations, and internal war modes to test their skills and earn research data, which can be used to unlock exciting new rewards. You can show off those rewards in the new PvP map, Tomb. This map is the smallest in the roster, but features a unique approach to battle zone design, offering a fresh experience. If PvP isn't your thing, there is a new PvE difficulty, Absolute. This mode ramps up the challenge with more diverse enemy packs, while you'll have to manage limited resources and ammo. It's for those who crave a real test of survival. And last, but certainly not least, the Tyranids now have a new enemy for you to fight, the Biovore. This fast, mobile, living artillery unit can maintain distance, fortify its position, and launch spore mines at the enemies, adding a whole new layer of strategy to the battlefield. The next two updates are the quality of life improvements I've been hoping for since launch. First up is the FOV slider, which allows players to adjust the camera's field of view. I think it's fantastic. I've always felt a bit limited on how zoomed in the camera is, sometimes making the experience feel a little claustrophobic. The second big update is of course PvP crossplay. They've finally lifted the restrictions on crossplay for PvP between PC and consoles. So players can now choose whether or not they want to play with the wider community. This was one of my biggest frustrations with the game, being unable to play with friends simply because they were on console. Even though crossplay was advertised, it was a little bit of a letdown to find out that only the campaign and operations had crossplay, not Eternal War. But now that's finally in and I'm super excited, and I think it'll bring back a whole bunch of players. Along with these updates, there's plenty of quality of life improvements and game balancing, plus 2 new cosmetic season pass packs, which is the Salamander's Champion pack and the Raven Guard cosmetic pack. I have to say the Salamander's pack definitely is the strongest one in terms of design, while generally I'm not much of a fan for paying for extra content, but if those cosmetics interest you, go for it. After all, I think everyone should have the chance to dress their Space Marine in whatever reflects their inner warrior. Back in the world of the tabletop, the new Astra Militarum Codex is now up for pre-order, along with all the new Death Corps of Krieg models. We covered these models last year when they were first announced, but now's the time for anyone who didn't want the army set or who just wants some individual pieces. Plus, there is some units that weren't included in the army box, like the Krieg Command Squad, the Death Corps of Krieg Troops, and the Krieg Heavy Weapon Squad. If you're looking to add a different regiment to your guard army, or just want some unique units, there is also a new combat patrol. It includes a Cadian Command Squad, 10 Kazakin, and 2 units of 5 Attilan Rough Riders. While this might not be the most spammable combat patrol, as a guard player who doesn't yet have the new Kazakin or Rough Riders, picking them up at a slight discount definitely makes them more appealing and might bump them a little bit higher on the to buy list. On the narrative side of things, Harken the World Claimer shows no signs of slowing down in his relentless crusade of vengeance, and is back at it in renewing his assault on the Imperium's defences in the latest narrative supplement, Warhammer 40k Crusade Nachmund Gauntlet. This new supplement features comprehensive Crusade campaign rules, allowing you to dive into the war on Sangura Terra. With 15 new Crusade missions. It also introduces rules for surgical deep strikes and treasure trove of diverse rules and narrative content to enrich your campaign experience. I've always been fascinated by the Warhammer 40k Crusade system because it offers a narrative-driven experience that lets you truly immerse yourself in the ongoing war of the galaxy, and it's not just about the typical match or tournament play. I love the lore just as much as I love the miniatures themselves. Also, let me know in the comments what kind of games you prefer playing as well as watching, because I'm planning on starting filming some battle reports for the channel soon, and would love to get your feedback on whether you prefer narrative-driven games or tournament-style play. This week, my hobby time has been focused on painting up 18 Sanguinary Guard, along with the Chapter Master Dante for the Blood Angels. I'm doing it for an upcoming video. It's been a lot of work and I'm really excited about how they're turning out. I'm not going to spoil too much yet, though there's a lot I'm planning to showcase, and I think it's going to be really fun. That's all for today's episode of Warpstorm Weekly. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you wish to share your own models or just chat about all things Warhammer, be sure to join our Discord. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. To the community of painters, players, and lore masters, thank you so much for joining me today. Your enthusiasm and support fuel this channel and our shared passion for the grimdark, that is Warhammer 40k. Till our next adventures across the warp, I'll see you War Masters next time.